This week in Grace's Girls Club, I am joined by a pretty special guest that works at a pretty special and pretty popular company I think you're going to be well acquainted with. So Lisa, welcome to Grace's Girls Club. Thanks for being here. Tell us your name, your title, and the company you work for.
Hi there, Grace, and thank you for having me. My name is Lisa Watson Morgan, and I work for NASA, Marshall Space Flight Center. And yes, we get to build rockets and build landers. And to that end, I am the Human Landing System Program Manager. And that's the follow on to Apollo with the Artemis Enterprise, where we're sending astronauts back to the lunar South Pole.
Very, very cool. So Lisa, tell me a little bit about your job and its day-to-day.
So, from a day to day standpoint, it is fast and furious. we we have two lander providers. We have developed the requirements. We are working through how to certify these systems. We are working to test these systems. And when I say these systems, I do mean these landers, the landers that will return crew back to the moon. And we're doing it a little differently this time. NASA is working with SpaceX and we are working with Blue Origin. And we have two landers that will give us dissimilar redundancy to where we can choose SpaceX for our Artemis 3 upcoming mission and potentially Artemis 4. And then we'll have Blue Origin for our Artemis 5 mission. But what we're doing is we're actually trying to work them in parallel, which is really exciting. But what that means is it is double the work with not double the team. We're trying to do this with a smaller team while still keeping safety paramount. So we work with a crew daily. They travel to both provider sites, locations, and they're all over the United States. And that's also exciting. We have our chief safety officer that works hand in hand with us, all of our chief engineers, and just all the specialties and subject matter experts that you would expect NASA to have to help industry be successful.
That is so cool. What an amazing collaborative effort. It's amazing that you get to be a part of that every day.
Yeah, it is very exciting. And I do consider myself very lucky to be part of this and especially to be leading it. Leading the return to the moon for the nation it's something that I really cherish.
Absolutely. I absolutely love that. So, Lisa, speaking of your career, of course, of the letters in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, which letter or sequence of letters would you say most applies to your job?
Well, clearly, I would say all of them do. I mean, science is so important. That's part of the reason we're going back, and we can't do it without the technology. The engineering has got to be spot on, and it's all based on math. But I'm gonna add another letter,
Okay.
which I know sounds silly, but I'm gonna add the A. You know, I've heard STEAM, STEAM. And the A is for the art. And I think it's important for two reasons. The art of communication, for one, which is critical to everything we do. You may have an outstanding technical presentation. You may be able to talk through why something is potentially needs to be bolstered from a fault tolerance standpoint. But if you can't communicate that clearly and adequately to the leader, stakeholders, and other decision makers, then we have an issue. And in addition, like things like what we're doing today, the art of communication, of sharing the message of why we're going back to the moon and how important it is and the things we're going to learn. So to me, I think they are all important, but I would also add an extra letter.
You know what? I like that extra letter. You could add that anytime in my book. So I want to ask you a personal question. Obviously, leading such a collaborative group, leading the team, leading the charge to get back to the moon, what will it mean to you? What will it be like when we hear that there are human footsteps, American human footsteps on the moon yet again?
From a personal standpoint, it will be very satisfying because I think when you look at aerospace, NASA, all the contractors and everyone in the community, I think we'll say finally,
Mm.
because uh, we realize that Apollo did a lot of great things, researched the equatorial regions of the moon, but it is time to go farther and do things that are harder. And going to the lunar South Pole, which is what we're doing, is tremendously different than going to the equatorial regions, which is why there are things like propellant transfer, cryofluid management, and different technologies to help us see in almost total darkness. We just haven't been to that area with humans to research yet. And so I think seeing that and seeing those footsteps and watching as we collect the science and solve the problems that then will lead us to Mars. I mean, this is the first step to Mars, which is something the continuity I think that folks have been wanting in aerospace.
So cool. I completely agree. And yeah, that's going to be pretty groundbreaking for science and for all of you who do all the hard work to get us there. So, speaking of hard work, Lisa, I want to talk to you about your schooling, about your degree. How educationally did you get to where you are today?
And education is so important, definitely. And you don't have to be the best student either. I'm of the, I guess, type who works hard. I'm definitely a very hard worker, so I make up for maybe some potential lack of gifts. And just working hard and solving problems and doing it over and over again and studying and have most of my life. But I went to the University of Alabama, the main campus in Tuscaloosa, for my bachelor degree in industrial engineering. And then when I was hired on at NASA as a co-op, cooperative education student, I think we now call them pathways, but it's an intern. It's a paid intern. And then that led to a job. And with many companies today, there's such great opportunities around working full time and going to school part time for advanced degrees. And I was able to leverage that, and I got my master's degree from the University of Alabama in Huntsville, here in town. Another great institution and a great partnership, really, with the community and with NASA. And then I later got my doctorate from University of Alabama in Huntsville too. So I kept working and learning. Just always like to learn a little more and try to be a little better.
Well, that is certainly impressive. I know that was years and years of very hard work. So kudos to you on that. And I totally understand what you're saying. It's that hard work that sets you apart. Everyone is gifted in their own specific field, but the people who use the gifts that they have and work like a workhorse, those are the ones who really find the success.
Yes, definitely.
So, Lisa, why did you choose the field that you're in? What was the appeal back in when you first joined, and what keeps you here today?
Um, I think the reason I chose engineering in general, my father was pretty integral in that decision. He knew that engineers help to solve problems, and he knew that I liked to solve problems. We would do a lot of hands-on projects when I was younger, growing up, either working working around with a motorcycle engine or lawnmowers, just little things like that. And with that curiosity, kind of led to engineering. And I do like solving problems, and I think that's a great part of it. I also appreciate the human dynamic aspect of it. That's one of my most favorite parts because any of the complex challenges that we have to overcome are not done by a single individual ever. They are always done in teams. And to get a small team and then a larger team and an even larger team, because our team crosses almost every NASA center in the US. And like I said, along with multiple contractor or providers to work through the different cultures and interactions and having all of us as humans work together, bringing our strengths, bringing all of our experiences over time, understanding how to communicate these technical challenges and working to that resolution. That's actually something that I find a great joy in.
Absolutely. And it's so wonderful to be able to surround yourself with people of that caliber who push themselves to be the best and who are encouraging and who are value their education and value their contribution. There's, that quote that says, "Show me a man's friends and I'll tell you all about the man." And that's so true. It sounds like you're surrounded by some of the best.
Yes, and from all over too. That's what's so exciting. Getting to learn and work alongside people who were educated all over the U.S. and even outside of the U.S. It is very exciting, and we laugh and we laugh at ourselves just because some of the things we do, and we think, why are we doing this? Well, let's change it, and
Yeah.
and so yeah, working through all that it is fantastic. It's one of the best parts of the job, frankly.
So, if those are some of the best parts of your job, then what are some of the most challenging parts? What are some of the red ticket items that hit your desk every day that you have to problem solve to work around?
Well, at NASA, we say challenges are just opportunities to excel.
You go. I love it.
um,
I love it.
It's true. They definitely are. And I think that's part of it. If you like to solve problems, go into engineering or math or science, because if you think about it, there's a problem statement, and so then we have to work through data to find out the solution. So some of the challenges are there is no single answer. There's a myriad of answers or options or paths to achieve whatever the goal is we're trying to achieve. And working to find the one that we can successfully do in the time we have allocated, that we've worked out with Congress, because we are a government agency, and we do our funding comes through Congress. And so making sure that we work through the boundary conditions of our problem, both from a technical standpoint, schedule, and a cost standpoint, it's very challenging, because you'll think, well, that's not necessarily the optimum answer. And so it depends what you optimize for. And I think just working through that, the give and take, and understanding the different boundary conditions, those are some of them, because the problems are complex.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And that's kind of when your career in its uniqueness takes shape. I mean, I for one joined math because I didn't want a myriad of different possible answers. I like that 2 plus 2 is always 4. Well, you do the math and the engineering every single day, but you still have that creative side, that artistic side, that side that forces you to problem solve in that way. So it's pretty cool that your career combines both of those aspects and that you enjoy it so much while you have to problem solve to work around it.
Yeah, definitely. I am living the dream, frankly. I mean, because the problems are difficult. It's do you chill the propellant to to what temperature, and then if you do that, for how long and why, and then so many other factors come into that. If you look through, your confounding factors or your statistical process control, or that type of math, with like algorithms and models, just I can imagine, the models you use to forecast the weather, how quick something can change, and you think, well, this is what we thought it was an hour ago, and then this new data comes in
So
and it
true.
changes it.
So true. So I have one last question for you. I know how busy you are, Lisa, and I want to let you get back to your mission that's going to one day affect us all. But if you had a message to young girls or young students in general who wanted to join the STEM force themselves one day, what would your message to them be?
I would tell them to go for it, because engineering, science, and math and technology are all careers that you can find an area that you can excel in. And just as we were talking, if you really enjoy just sitting with your computer and working through analysis, we have software programming that works more individually. We have data analysts that work more individually. If you like to problem solve in larger groups, then we have other opportunities for that in engineering, where you are able to solve problems. So to me, it is just a wide open, great space of opportunity for certainly young girls. And you don't have to be the best at math. You need to be solid at it for sure and understand the concepts, but you can work hard and overcome a lot of the challenges. And so I would just offer that any job is what the effort you put into it, and same with school. Put a little more effort into it, and really the opportunities are just going to be endless, because when you understand, I think when you start understanding science and physics, it opens up so many other just opportunity space for how the world works, as you're just walking in a field, or looking at a ball bouncing. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Simple things like that that you can see if you just look in as you're walking around. So we need everybody in engineering. I know the United States certainly wants young people in science, technology, engineering, and math, because those are the careers that are going to help us continue to be such a stronghold with respect to innovation and achieving great things like returning to the moon and Mars and all the technologies needed to get there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was great. That was really inspiring. I agreed with everything you said. I can't wait for them all to see this. Well, Lisa Watson Morgan, thank you so much for being here today. NASA Marshall Space Flight Center is blessed to have you, and so are we. Welcome officially to Grace's Girls Club.
Thank you so much, Grace. And I really appreciate you reaching out and us getting to do this. It's very exciting, and happy to be part of it. And thank you for what you do. I think this is really important.
Well, you're very kind. It is an honor to be able to do it. I hope you have a great day, Lisa.